Today's topic, Bank Term Lending Program. And the Bank Term Lending Program is a new program initiated in March or April of this year, 2023. It's really just another tool of the Federal Reserve, and I often chuckle out loud when I hear them say they have all the tools to handle any crisis. And over the weekend things break, and then they have their emergency meetings over the weekend. And then on Monday morning, they announce that they have a new tool. Wait, on Friday you said you had all the tools you needed. The Bank Term Lending Program is just another tool to kick the crisis problem down the road a little further. It's a tool to fix the economy that's busting from high interest rates, out of control government spending, and a broken supply chain from government shutdowns during the COVID scare. So the Bank Lending Program, it's a bailout program essentially, where the Federal Reserve increases its balance sheet, think spending, think quantitative easing, by lending banks money to paper over their liquidity problems from their falling bond values. The Fed loans them money based on the par value of the bonds. In this chart here, it's a straight line up, a hockey stick to about 135.8 billion and climbing. It's really an indicator that something's wrong, something's broken or breaking. Banks are seeking liquidity from the Fed by collateralizing their long-term bonds. Is this not an indicator of a systemic problem in the economy? Banks are insolvent and no longer able to lend when they need the money themselves to loan a loan to keep themselves liquid. So why aren't they just selling out their long-term bonds that they own instead? That is, instead of collateralizing their bonds over to the Federal Reserve and getting a loan based on par, why not just sell them outright? Why not just sell them, take their loss, write it off, and go from there? Well, if they did that, they would create a follow the leader in the banking system. All the other banks would just jump in and try to sell their devalued bonds for whatever price the market would bear, and before the price would collapse further. It's kind of like trying to put out a fire in a neighborhood with only enough water to extinguish the fire in your garage. There aren't enough water buckets to keep your house from burning down, let alone the rest of the neighbors' houses. So with the banks, misery loves company. Better put, they were told not to sell their long-term bonds as it would create a banking panic. Hence the term Bank Term Lending Program, basically a bank bailout program. It suppresses the fire so you can keep living in the house, but eventually the fire is going to overtake the house, and eventually the neighborhood lending or in the neighborhood's leading to a bond default.